All right. Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of Survival of the Fittest, How to Win Survivor. Last week we talked about Demira. This week we're going to be talking Second Chance, Season 3 with Nate and Kearney, talking about the win of Caleb, who is deemed the Cutthroat athlete. So, yeah, you guys ready to tackle talking about Caleb's win?
Heck yeah.
Yes.
All right. So we started season 3. I decided to do a heroes versus villains theme because heroes versus villains is a great season, and I was like, I really want to do this. And issue was for 2 seasons we didn't really have too many options, and I wanted to do all people who had not won the game yet. So Demira helped me host, but I didn't necessarily just want Demira to play again. So I got, from season 1, I got Kearney and Samir, and then season 2, Caleb, Grant, Lee, and Tyler, and then I ended up recruiting Nate, because I was like, Nate, you should definitely play this, because I think you're going to be good at it. So, yeah. And then I got Mitch, because I don't know, I just needed somebody else. And I believe I was trying to get Silas and Connor Rowley, and they just couldn't end up making it. But we were originally going to have 10 people, but they couldn't make it, so it ended up being 8. But we made do with what we had. So here we go. So the Heroes tribe, we have Kearney, we have Lee, we have Samir, and we have Grant. And then villains, we have Nate and Mitch, and then Caleb and Tyler. So I guess what were your guys' reactions to being a hero and a villain?
I'll let Kern go first on this one.
Well, as you know, I'm effectively a Shakespearean tragic hero when it comes to this game, so I thought it was only fitting.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I never been one to think of myself as a villain, but the more and more I look at myself in the mirror, the more and more I think of myself as Syndrome from The Incredibles. So maybe I am a villain, and maybe it was actually the right choice. So
you just gotta own it, dog.
Exactly.
Well, and I think once it came to the Discord All Stars, I mean, I think the perception through the seasons 3 and 4, at least for you, Nate, was that you were a villain, but then the Discord All Stars showed that you were more of a hero. So, but
I aim to please however I can.
Yeah.
No matter what the situation is.
All right, so everybody shows up. We divide you guys into your tribes, and we have our first challenge, which is same as from season 2 with the running to get the puzzle pieces, and then you have to have someone solve the puzzle. So I believe the heroes put Kearney on the puzzle, and then the villains put I think they put Tyler or Mitch on it, and the villains lose. So heroes win the first challenge. So
that's right.
Yeah, pathetic losers to teammates. I don't tell you, man.
Yeah, he kind of
did. Yeah, other than Caleb, I mean, you didn't have the greatest challenge performers.
One more time, what was Nate's team?
It was Nate, Caleb, Mitch, and Tyler.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I guess Tyler won a couple of
villains,
but yeah. So you guys go to tribal council. I give you guys a little bit to search for idols. I put 2 idols out there, and so I believe Caleb finds one. I put it in between the bricks that we used to have lined up, and so Caleb finds that one. And Nate, I believe he tells you, right, and nobody else.
Yeah, that is correct.
Mm-hmm. And you were always planning to just use that to your advantage, or just not tell anybody else?
Well, originally I thought you and Kearney helped, or not Kearney. You set an idol out so Tyler could use it just in case he gets voted out first.
Mm-hmm.
But then obviously turned into a little more, as you explained.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I believe Tyler actually did find an idol that was out there, so he continues his trend of finding idols, but surprise, surprise, first tribal council, Tyler doesn't play an idol, and you guys decide to blindside him over Mitch, which, I guess, what was your decision-making behind Tyler? And I know you gave Tyler a 2 last week in the runner-up rankings, and you said that you thought he deserved a 2.
Jury member, I'm going to tell you.
How are you bitter towards him? You voted him out.
Yeah.
I don't tell you, man. It's just those are the words I have for you. Bitter towards Tyler.
Did you find out that he was trying to get rid of you at first, or what?
I think like I had a hunch,
Mhm.
but I don't know. I don't like the way he walks. I don't like the way he talks. The way he smiles, whack.
Damn.
Everything he does, whack. But what I do, tight as fuck.
I'll second that notion.
Yes, thank you. Jake, I need to get you, your pop culture references up to date.
Yeah, I do.
Well, 7 years too late for that one, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Dude, people still quote that one. Are you kidding me? It's never too late.
Tyler goes home with an idol in his pocket, and I believe he thinks that I thought he told me he didn't hear me say if anybody has an idol, now is the time to play it, but I definitely said it, so Tyler was just completely blindsided. Thought it was going to be Mitch, which, judging by the fact that Mitch hated both you and Caleb, I'm surprised and not surprised that Mitch was voted out, but Tyler's a bigger threat, so.
Cool.
Yeah. It's disappointing, and it does start the trend that you do well your first time, or you're like memorable your first time, and then you come back and get voted out early. You get voted out first, so I mean, we'll see that trend as we go through. But yeah, Kearney, how shocked were you to see that Tyler was the first one out of that tribe?
I mean, the fact that it wasn't Mitch was the really surprising part. I get why they picked Tyler, for sure, but there are certain members on each team where you just expect them to go first, and then the other mentality is, well, they're easy vote outs later, so worry about the big threats.
Right. So, and I mean, it ends up working out for Caleb and Nate to get rid of Tyler immediately. So, all right, so we move on to episode 2. We have the what's on YouTube, because our cameraman for that season, AJ, didn't end up filming most of what happened, unfortunately. I'm not sure why, but he didn't. And so the food challenge, we had, trying to remember everything that we had. I know we had the Braunschweiger, and we put Lee on that again, and she actually tried to eat it, but kept puking it up. For you guys.
Can we get an F in the chat for Lee's Braunschweiger?
Yeah, F in the chat. And then I believe Mitch has to go twice because villains are down a member, so you guys pick Mitch to eat twice. So Mitch beats Lee in the Braunschweiger, and I think Mitch goes up against Samir with the I think it was like seaweed or something. I can't remember. I think that's what it was. And then we have the
I did the onion.
Yeah, against Caleb.
I think that was first.
Yeah, that was first, actually. Yes. So you beat Caleb in that. You're the only person on the Heroes
to actually those 2 onions. That's what's up.
Yeah. You scored the only point for the Heroes. I guess we know who the best player on that team was.
Oh. Do you?
And then Nate creams Grant in I believe it was the peppers.
Oh, I still eat those peppers to this day. Pepperoncinis?
Yeah.
Ooh-wee.
That's conditioning.
Yeah. So, villains win immunity, because they don't have, well, Caleb is the only one on that team with a weak stomach, as he says in the video. Also, we have Nate saying the iconic quote that I said, "Don't be a spitter, don't be a quitter."
Is that where there was like octopus too?
Yeah, I think I just gave it to you. I think that was like going to be the last thing if the heroes had actually won another point. So
No, I remember because Tyler, who was already out, tried it,
mhm.
and he was like, "Dude, I can't get the taste of dirty vagina out of my mouth."
Oh my god!
Rose, that's a statement.
I could see it.
No. All right. So before we go to tribal council, I believe Kearney, you, Grant, and Samir are already plotting to vote Lee out first from your tribe.
Yeah, I mean, like we could have gone Nate's route and voted out not the obvious pick, but I was like, at that point in my life, very opposed to Lee being in the game. No disrespect. So I was like, guys, let's cut the BS here. You know, we all know who we want to vote out. So it worked out well that time.
Yeah, and I mean, from the fact that you were probably the biggest threat on that tribe because you're the person who made it to second place, technically you're the farthest placing person on that tribe. So it's good that they didn't vote you out. That Samir and Grant didn't vote you out on that vote, but
yeah, more on that later.
Yeah. So I believe Lee gets voted out unanimously, but I think also something that doomed her, and why Lee is probably not the greatest Survivor player, is I believe Grant asks Lee who she's voting for publicly after she votes, and she says, "I think I'm gonna vote for Samir." And so Grant goes up and votes.
Like, you better not.
So, and Samir told me that he was always planning on voting out Lee first. So, I mean, sucks, but that's the end of Lee in her Survivor career, unfortunately. But, yeah, it sucks, but at least we had Lee for a full season and then 2 episodes. So... all right, so then we get to, because we only had 8 people, we had to merge and at 6 people. So you guys both make the merge. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
So you're now wearing yellow buffs, and it is even at 3 heroes and 3 villains. So I believe this first challenge was a cornhole, but it was like you just had to score the most points with your beanbag tosses. I believe Caleb dominates this challenge. I can't remember how many points he got, but I believe this is Caleb's first individual immunity win. So, but yeah. So then, and like before the challenge, I remember that we had the twist where I had an advantage, the extra vote advantage, where the first person to come up and grab it gave up their shot at immunity for that round, but they were able to have an advantage instead. So I believe Mitch runs up and gives up immunity to grab it. I guess what were your reactions to Mitch just getting the advantage?
Oh, you talking to me? Sorry about that. I zoned out for a second.
All good.
But both
Say
of
that
you.
one more time.
What was your guys' reactions to Mitch going up and getting the advantage?
Well, I gotta say, one lucky son of a bitch.
Yeah, I mean, I guess nobody else tried to go for it, but...
I didn't realize at the time that you were giving up a shot at immunity, because I also wasn't paying attention at all, so he ran up and grabbed it, and I was like, wait, what's going on? So, kind of regret that in retrospect.
Yeah, 100%. But, yeah, so Mitch grabs that, Caleb wins immunity, and I guess I should also say Tyler ended up being kind of bitter towards Nate and Caleb and willed his idol to Mitch. So Mitch now has like 2 powers basically in the game. So, and you guys didn't know about Mitch's idol, I don't think, till like a vote later or something. Nate,
nobody could have foreseen that.
Yeah,
I definitely didn't.
Yeah. So you guys are scheming and plotting now. So I guess you guys can now walk me through, I guess, sort of what was going on in the conversations.
I mean, my memory's not all that fresh on the subject.
7 years ago. It's gonna be 9. That's like 5 years ago. But.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh man, dude, I'm old.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to guess who I was like targeting, probably Mitch. Because again, easy vote. But
Yeah.
I feel like I was kind of talking with like Nate and Samir
Mm-hmm.
during that.
Mm-hmm.
I would be talking to everyone. I was trying to make alliances with everyone because I already knew I was the odd man out.
Yeah.
Being that I didn't really know anyone other than Kearney from like people that you tell me, from the stuff you tell me. So I had like my own relationship with people.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of forced myself into the game. Otherwise, I was already dead man walking before I even arrived.
Right. All right. So I believe this is where kind of craziness happens. So like usually in merge vote, it's either really, really simple and everybody just ends up on one person, or it can be as crazy as what ends up happening here. So I believe you guys think Mitch might have something. So I think the majority is like splitting votes all over the place from what I remember. I believe that Mitch, because he has the advantage is an extra vote, so Mitch tries to get Nate out. I remember Mitch tried to put both his votes on Nate, which was, he just didn't talk to anybody about it though, so we didn't have anybody on his side. And then I believe Kearney tries voting for Mitch, and then I believe Caleb and then Grant and Samir end up turning on Kearney, I believe. And so Kearney, you got voted out third. Unfortunately, Mitch doesn't play as idol. And yeah, so Kearney, the tribe has spoken. So, reaction.
So I think, I don't know if this is jogging any memories for you, Nate, but I think it was the people that voted me out was Samir, Caleb, you, and Grant. There was like a 4...
I honestly don't remember how I voted, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But
as soon as I got voted out, you like hugged me and said I'm sorry. So I figured you had something
that's
to do
probably
with
what
that.
happened. I didn't want people to think that we had an alliance going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I respect that.
Yeah, and I feel like Kearney got a really... Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I think Kearney got a really raw deal in this season. I mean, it was just kind of bad luck, and the fact that Mitch had a bunch of stuff going on that the majority was trying to dodge around. So it's just kind of like Kearney just ended up being the unfortunate victim.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
I definitely would never have guessed that Mitch would be like wielding that kind of power. I thought he was just gonna like fizzle out first vote.
Yeah. Well, he tried to target Nate, and I remember Nate. I think you talked so much trash to Mitch after that vote.
That's exactly. Yeah. I think I got Mitch and Tyler confused.
Yeah. You probably did.
Yeah, Mitch is the one who's wet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mitch was trying to get you out constantly.
Sounds like something a fish would do.
What was his deal? What did he have against Nate? Or was it just because he was working with Tyler?
I think...
He didn't like that I could eat more disgusting foods than he did.
Well, Mitch
he probably makes a professional career out of it. You can't be shaming him like that.
I remember Mitch hated... I remember he, like, tried to, like, make personal attacks on Nate, and he also made personal attacks on Caleb before the season even started, because I remember... Kearney, you might remember this, but I think it... Or might not, I don't know, but I think it was where Mitch, like, threatened to put Caleb in the hospital or something stupid like that. And Caleb's
was that
like...
over text?
Yeah, it was over a text. It was like a group text before the season, and Mitch was, like, threatening, oh yeah, I'm gonna bash your skull and Caleb's and put you in the hospital, and Caleb's like, yeah, I'm in a hospital visiting you. And and to be honest, Caleb would have destroyed Mitch, so
Mitch is pretty beefy.
Yeah, that's fair. But Caleb's muscular and athletic, like I don't know. But
Caleb would have kicked Mitch's ass, no doubt.
yeah, 100%. But yeah, so Kearney goes out. We're down to the final 5. I honestly think this goes back to the fact that I think we said in the last podcast that I didn't think Grant was a great player either. I mean, I feel like this might have been the wrong move for Grant and Samir to turn on Kearney here because that gave the villains the numbers to take over the rest of the game. So I mean, this was probably a bad move for Samir and Grant, but I don't know what you guys think, but
I think it was a terrible move, but this is reflecting 5 years later, so
right.
What's to say?
I could safely say I was not a fan of that move, but I, also experienced some bias. So
yeah. All right, so then final 5, we have the famous water bottle challenge that we used for the Adrian seasons. We brought that back. This is definitely one of my favorite challenges. You have to knock the water bottle off the paddle. Nate dominates this challenge, wins individual immunity. Nate, I know you were you were just crazy good in this challenge.
Well, practice with drinking a lot of water, man. I'll tell you. Drinking water wherever even if it's contained in something.
Yeah.
I can do it. Before Jason Statham was kicking water bottle caps off, there was me winning water bottle challenges.
Yeah. Yeah, so I believe there's even one moment, I wish we would have gotten this on film, but I believe it's Nate versus Grant, and Nate throws it up, like the strategy is to throw the water bottle up and try to knock the other person's down. I believe Nate throws it up, knocks Grant's off, and still catches the water bottle on the paddle.
That's right. I completely forgot about that. Yeah.
That's one of the craziest moments. But, yeah, so now we get to another vote. Mitch says he's playing his idol. And Caleb still has his, and I believe we made the rule that the idol would be played by Final 4, which in hindsight I probably should have said Final 5, but yeah, so Caleb holds on to his, I believe, Mitch votes for Caleb. This is another crazy split vote. So Samir and Grant vote for Mitch. Mitch votes for Caleb. Nate, I believe you vote for Grant. And I believe Caleb votes for Samir. And Mitch plays his idol and so saves himself. And it's a 3-way tie between Caleb, Samir, and Grant. And I believe on the revote, Nate, you somehow convinced Mitch to be willing to get rid of Grant, which is also a really good move.
I would have to agree with that one. Screw Grant. I'm on the way to the promised land.
Yeah. I'm not sure why Mitch even listened to you after you'd been trying to get you out the previous round, but
that's just me playing the game of Survivor. Gotta have these unlikely alliances with people that just start doing your bidding.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, so I think Grant I think he is to go with the flow, and also I think, first time he plays, he gives his idol to Demira, gets blindsided, then the second time he flips on Kearney, and then screws himself by putting himself in lesser numbers, so I mean, I think Grant just makes mistakes. I just don't think he's a great Survivor player. But
I hope he's not hearing this.
I don't know he listens to this podcast.
Yeah, I don't know how many. I think the Adrian friends are the only people that listen to this. So, and I know certain people that have watched it already, or the previous one. But, yeah, Grant is not one of them. All right, so then we go to the Final 4, and it is one where you have to balance a ball on the paddle. If it falls off the paddle, then you're out of the challenge. And I believe, basically, Samir was trying to bounce the ball around on the paddle instead of actually trying to balance it. I remember that, and Samir just was not able to do it because that's just a really bad strategy, but that was a funny moment, just watching Samir run all over the place trying to bounce the ball. and Mitch's ball falls off. So you and Caleb just make a deal. I believe you agree to give Caleb the immunity, and then Caleb will give you his idol, Nate. So you guys were basically both guaranteed safety anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So then it's basically between Samir and Mitch. And I think I'll give Samir a little bit of credit for this because I believe Mitch goes up to him and is like, hey, man, we have to vote for each other. I believe that Samir, was really good, at least in that moment, of making Mitch feel good before he was getting voted out. So, I mean, I'll give Samir a little bit of credit, but I don't know how much credit you want to give to Samir with a little bit of social game, but...
I mean, Samir did the best he could.
Yeah. Yeah. Kearney, what do you think about that?
Samir's pretty sociable.
Yeah.
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 It is thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, then, you guys unanimously agreed to boot Mitch, and I guess, Nate, was it just basically about Mitch was, the only thing, really, that was left standing in your guys' way, so you just decided to eliminate him, and Samir's not much of a threat?
No, plus, we had history, so...
Yeah.
It was easy to align with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, and, I mean... The only reason I'm kind of a little harsh on Season 3 is the fact that, a lot of these people were so passive, and when the underdog of the season is Mitch, I don't really think that's someone to root for, but, yeah, so then we go to Final 3, and I didn't really have a backup plan for a challenge. My original plan didn't really work to do the hand holding yourself up between something. So we ended up doing foosball, which not really a good challenge choice, but that's probably more my mistake than anybody else's back then. And I believe Caleb wins his third immunity. And this is where Caleb turns his back on you, Nate.
Yeah, I still remember that.
It's gotta hurt.
Yeah, did you you knew that Caleb was probably going to turn his back on you, right? Or
yeah, a little part of me always knew,
mm-hmm.
But I was hoping we had this deal that we were going to go to the end together,
yeah.
And I was probably going to blindside him anyways and get rid of him,
right?
And take Samir anyways. So he beat me to the punch because I lost the last competition, but
right.
I don't know, honestly.
Yeah. And I guess we can talk about now, before we go into ranking Samir and Caleb. How do we think you could have won it? And I agree that you had a really good shot at beating both Caleb and Samir. Because I'm thinking, Kearney, I'm guessing you probably vote for Nate in that situation in the final two, or against either Caleb or Samir, or how would
Probably.
you vote? Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I believe... And I don't know about Tyler. Tyler probably would vote gameplay based as well. I feel like I'm not. Everybody else is pretty much a wild card on who they'd vote for to win, so I have no idea. But I don't know where Lee's gonna cast her jury vote if Samir's not in the finals, because Lee was always gonna vote Samir to win, but I don't know. And Mitch hated both you and Caleb, Nate. So I think Mitch's head would have exploded if he would have had to decide between you and Caleb.
I think he would pick me at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, so we go to the final two. We get to the final two, and I believe Samir pretty much just wanted Caleb to win, I remember, because he just didn't really think he deserved to win, I remember, and Caleb had this, obviously the really good case, and Samir didn't really give a good case at all. And we get to the votes, and you guys and Tyler both vote for Caleb to win, and then I believe Lee, Mitch, and I think Grant did it as a sort of a joke to see what would happen, but they vote for Samir to force a tie. And Grant was close allies with Samir in the game, so I feel like he might have been voting that way anyway, but it's a tie, and I think Samir just told us to give the win to Caleb, so we just kind of let that happen, because Samir just didn't want to win. So I mean, I don't. By the end of it, I think he was just fine getting there to the end. I guess, what do you guys think?
I mean, I think you're right. I mean, Samir knew he was getting dragged the whole way anyway, so
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely applaud Samir on his social game, but the fact that he actively did not want to win kind of speaks a bit about how good his overall game was. It's like his heart wasn't in it, so
Yeah.
that's kind of why he lost.
Yeah. So now we can get to rankings really quick. Okay. So I guess, where do you guys rank Caleb as a winner? And we can kind of talk about why you guys want to put him up, where you put him up. So.
I mean, I think he's a pretty good winner, honestly. He played a pretty good game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, hindsight's always 20/20.
Mm-hmm.
You can always adjust your game after looking back at it, but for being in the moment playing the game, I mean, he did a pretty good job.
Mm-hmm.
He stayed off everyone's radar for the most part until the very end. So,
right.
I mean, if we're doing out of 6, I'd say he's a 4 or 5. I'd probably go 5.
Okay, that's all right. 5 is good. Kearney, what about you?
I'd probably give him a 4. I'd say he did a really solid job.
All right.
Obviously, he won.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think he was. I don't know. I don't know how hard he was scheming. Like, I feel like he didn't have like a plan the whole time, but he made it work in the end, which is what counts. So,
right.
Give him a pass for sure.
Yeah. All right. So you guys, Kearney gave him a 4, Nate gave him a 5. I'm giving him a 4.5. I think there's better winners, and I think Caleb did have a strategically dominant game, but one that I think Nate did a lot of legwork for, as I said. And so I think, and he did make it to the end despite being seen as a physical threat from the beginning, where a lot of these athletes, they're usually the merge boot. So I mean, I think Caleb definitely was really good this time around, and my only thing against him is I think he's not very good at playing with the people on the bottom. I think he's always better at playing with people that are in the majority, and he's not really good at sucking up to the people on the bottom. And that's kind of why he almost loses to Samir. But all right, and then we have Samir. What are you guys gonna give Samir? Oh, and I'll average out Caleb's after we give Samir his. So.
I mean, Samir really didn't do much. No disrespect to Samir, but
yeah,
low 2, high 1.
Okay. Kearney.
Yeah, I'd go a little higher than that. I would probably say I was gonna say a 4, honestly, but thinking about it, it's like probably not fair to put him as high as Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe like a 3.5. But I think his social game was really good. Like he never rubbed anyone the wrong way. Like ever in playing the game. It was my experience.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm sure Caleb upset 1 or 2 people, but like I don't know. No one wanted to vote Samir out.
That's true. Other than
I don't
Lee.
think he plays in the game. That's why, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess that's why I probably would say Caleb's like better.
Yeah. All right. So I'll average these out really quickly. Calculator. All right. Caleb. Okay. 4.5 plus 5 plus 4 divided by 3. All right, Caleb's average score is a 4.5, so definitely not as high as Demira. So we'll see when we get the rest of the winners where Caleb ranks, but yeah, so it's a pretty good score. And then Samir, we have 2 plus 2 plus 3.5 divided by 3. Samir gets a 2.5. So that puts him, Tyler got a 4 for average, Samir got a 2.5 for average. So, yeah. So I think we'll see where we go from here with everybody else that we're gonna add. Anything else you guys wanted to talk about from season 3?
We talked about all the challenges, didn't we?
Yeah, I think so. Is there anything else like we want to bring up as we're going through these rankings? Because I know we're doing winners and runners up. We can rank the seasons as we go along based on what we've seen and what we've talked about. If we want to say which seasons are better than others.
I mean, this one's definitely, because I didn't do anything after this one. It's definitely my favorite. Like, it was concise. We got it done in a day. I had a lot of fun just running around.
That's what made me
Yeah.
want to do it again. So
Yeah.
The first 2 seasons, like, just trying to organize it was fucking pulling teeth. So it was nice to just show up and then hang out and then get to go home and not have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And I think that's the pro of a day-long Survivor. The con would be it does take a while to do it in a day, especially depending on the amount of people. I mean, we only had 8 people playing, and I think it still lasted about like 3 hours. So,
It's not bad.
yeah. But, yeah, and I mean, like, also, I guess a con against Survivors lasting several weeks is you're going to get people that have conflicts that come up as it goes on just because it's taking place over so much time. But, yeah, so that's season 3. I would say I just enjoyed the end game, that final 5 onward of season 2. And it was just kind of like I loved you guys on season 3, obviously, and I think it's just the fact that I think a lot of the players in season 3 were extremely passive, or like they were just content to let the majority dominate. And I think when we get to Adrian seasons, I think at least for the most part, I think that the game switched up a lot more in those. And the cast was willing to do more, play more aggressively. But yeah, so I mean, I guess we can just say, so you guys think season 3 is better than season 2 for those reasons?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and you guys, since you guys are saying that, then okay. So season 3 will be ranked, at least between us, as the number 1 season. And 2 will be season 2. So, all right. So yeah, and is there anything else? Other things I thought about, we're doing ranking. I decided against it last week of doing like the Fallen Angels because I feel like we're gonna get some of the same people ranking those. That's like the person voted out right before the end. So in this case, it'd be comparing Nate and Connor Lonendijk, which is 2 completely different ends of the spectrum in terms of Nate is you're a lot better of a player than Connor Lonendijk, but
appreciate it.
Yeah, and also a much better person than Connor Lonendijk.
Hey, I'll take
Go
that.
in there.
Yeah, and so then and then there's first boots, but also we're going to get a lot of the same there because a lot of the people who come back to the next to future seasons are going to be first boots based on being big targets. So I mean, is there anything else?
I'll start on my end.
Kearney?
My brain is empty.
All right. Well, as we move on, so season 4 we can either do next week or take a week off or however we want to do it. So season 4 is going to be the one at Nate's house that we did in 2016 the only season I didn't actually host, so that should be interesting to talk about, and I'll be able to give some behind the scenes of what Nate and I can talk about what our thought processes were on our tribes and what was happening with those, because that should be interesting, because I have quite a bit to say about what was happening on my tribe, because my tribe was a bit of a train wreck on that season.
Absolutely.
And so I don't know if we can try I mean, if Josiah's busy and Jeremy's busy, then we'll just try to do the best with the three of us again.
Remind me again. I'll send a message out again. I'll send a message out next week.
Okay. Sounds good to me. So we want to try for next week for season 4.
It is too early to tell for me.
Okay.
Work's gonna be kicking my ass even worse than it is now. So
Right.
we'll see how I'm feeling.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But I'm excited to get to that, and I'm super excited to get to the Adrian seasons and hopefully be able to get guests for those, because I think that's probably going to be a little more likely if people aren't busy. So, but yeah,
Cool.
So awesome.
Sounds good to me.
All right, I'll exit out real quick. So we're good with that.